The Supreme Court has said that the government must pay compensation for COVID deaths, but the amount of compensation is up to the government to actually decide. The Supreme Court has directed for guidelines to be framed to pay ex gratia compensation within 6 months. They've accepted, however, the centre's argument that 4 lakh rupees as compensation for COVID deaths cannot be paid. But having said that, the Supreme Court clearly pointed out that whatever the amount, compensation must be given. Anisha Mathur is joining us with more details on this. Anisha, just get us the highlights really and the big takeaways from that hearing.
Well, this was a judgment passed by the bench of the Apex Court, which was hearing petitions regarding COVID death compensation and the fact that death certificates and insurance are not being handled properly. Now, what the Apex Court has said is threefold. First of all, that the National Disaster Management Authority was obliged to set minimum standards of relief, which has not been done as far as payment of compensation is concerned. Therefore, the NDMA has been directed to frame the guidelines for compensation very soon. Secondly, the court has said that we cannot prescribe this, that the 4 lakh compensation criteria that is there for other disasters such as earthquakes, etc., must be implemented for COVID as well, because it is for the government to look into what kind of compensation will be given out, depending on the financial situation and the expenditure on things such as healthcare, medical aid, etc. So it is now for the government to finalize how much compensation will be given. Thirdly, as far as death certificates are concerned, the centre and the registrar of birth and deaths has been directed to ensure that all death certificates specify that a person has died due to COVID, because that is something that the court had noted that was not being done, and that was creating problems with insurance and other things as well. The court has also said that guidelines should also be framed to correct the death certificates that have already been issued which do not specify a COVID death. And the fourth point is that with regard to insurance, that the government has been directed now to ensure that the Finance Commission recommendations for universal insurance, particularly for medical insurance, are followed. Some kind of medical insurance schemes, not just for frontline workers, doctors, nurses, other frontline workers, but also in general, insurance schemes must be there so that people who are affected, particularly in a pandemic like this, can get help. Back to you.
All right, Anisha, thank you for getting us all of those details. More breaking news that's coming in.